Good morning. Welcome to Tangle Time Arts. My name is Nana Heron, and I'm a certified Zentangle teacher. And this week, which I think is week 23, we're going to take a look at two kind of basic tangles. We're going to take a look at Kiko and Küle. And for today's project, you'll need our basic supplies. So white tile, a black pen, tortillon or a cotton swab, a number 2 pencil. I also have a gel pen. You can choose any color or you can just stick with your black pen. And I do have a compass. You just need something round that you can draw around, something maybe the size of a silver dollar. Okay, so let's get started here. We're going to need to draw our little circle. And my compass is set to about oh, it's about at 3/4 of an inch. So your diameter is going to be about 1.5 inches. And I'm just going to approximate the center and I'm going to draw in a little circle. Yours might be a little bigger or a little smaller. And then I'm going to set that aside. And I am going to pick up my black pen. And we're going to start with the Kiko, which is very simple, actually. And we're going to do this in the round. Kiko is one of those, when we're finished, it looks kind of woven, kind of almost like a fabric or a rope. It's great for filling spaces, any shaped spaces and large spaces. And it's kind of a back and forth type of tangle. So we're just going to start with a line, and I'm going to draw another line. And let's go with another line. So we've got 3 lines. And then we're kind of working around our circle there. So then I'm going to draw lines going this way. So that's what I mean by back and forth. Now we're going to switch back to the other lines. So they're perpendicular. 1, 2, 3. And then we're going to go back here and do these. So you're really switching off back and forth. Sometimes what I like to do to make it even easier is I'll do all of these lines first. So we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. And then instead of switching and doing these lines, I'm going to skip a space for a little bit and come over here and then just put more lines. And then I'll go all the way around. So when we work in the round like this, you're picturing like a pencil line all the way around. If that's hard for you to picture, you can go ahead and with a pencil, you can lightly pencil it in to help you kind of stay within that guideline. So I'm going to do that now for you. But this is optional. If you don't need this guideline, then by all means, just keep going without it. I'm going to switch back to my pen and I'm just kind of keeping the distance the same. And working my way around. And you can decide if you want to stick with the same number of lines this way and this way, or you can vary it and have more lines going this way and fewer lines going that way. But right now I'm going to keep it the same. I'm just working my way around. And I'm going to fit another one in here. Like that. We'll just keep that one a little smaller. And then I'm going to go back in and fill in my perpendicular lines. And since we're working in a circle, my lines are a little bit curved. If you're working in an area that's more like a square, your lines might be straighter. Since it is in a circle, I am trying to kind of make these continuous and match between the sections. So from here, continues on. And then we made our way around the first time. So from here, I'm going to start with a section that went this way. And then I'm picturing another circle around it. And again, if it's easier for you, you can pencil that in really lightly. It's optional though. If you don't need this guideline, you can just get started going around again. And you don't need your compass or an object to draw around. You can just pencil it in. Like that, and then you can pick up your pencil, and it's always with the perpendiculars. So I'm starting with an area that went this way, and I'm bringing it out this way, like that. So I'm going to work my way around the circle again. If you'd rather alternate, so if you want to stop and fill that in, you can. Like that. You can alternate. You could come over here and do this. But I like to fill in this way. And here I'm going to end up with an extra line, which is fine. So it's kind of big, so I've got a couple extra lines there. And this one's going to have fewer lines. And then we're going to just go back in and fill in those perpendicular lines. And if you'll notice, these are all auras of one another. So you put in a line and you're putting in the aura again and again. I don't get too caught up in counting the lines that much because once you have it all filled in, it just blends together. And we could add a third layer of that. So you can stop at two, or you can put in a third one if you'd like. And I'm just going to pencil that in really lightly. And I will say the pencil line is really helpful for when you're working on a curve or in a circle like this. But as you get more practice, you probably won't need that step. Okay, and then let's just start down here. And then where these were going left and right, we're just going to continue off of that and go top to bottom. Working in a circle is challenging because it does get bigger as you go out. So you have to kind of accommodate that. Right, and then let's fill in the perpendicular there. And although I am trying to match the previous ones once in a while, you have to accommodate and either add or take away a line. All right, and then since we can't really go any further out, I'm going to go back around and add a line to finish the outer edge off. So I'm just filling those in because we don't want any gaps. Like that. And now we have this really nice woven. It kind of reminds me of in high school where we had this project and we had to weave these little bowls or baskets. So that's what that kind of reminds me of. Now we're going to work in the center So we just finished Kiko and we're going to fill the center with Küle. You can use your black pen if you would like. I am actually going to switch to a gel pen. And I'm using an altitude and I'm using the reddish color. You could pick any color that you like. And Küle again goes back to the basics. And we're starting with a crescent moon shape. And if you would like to add something in here like tipple, you can, but I'm just gonna go ahead and switch to the next tangle, which is Küle. So for this one, starting with the crescent moon shape, we are just gonna work our way around making these half ladybug shapes. So you want to make one, leave a little space, and then make another one. And you're just working your way around the inside of the circle now. So before we worked outwards and now we're working in. So it's just half ladybug shapes all the way around. And you have to kind of look a little bit ahead. I think we can fit two more here. One and two. Yeah, it just fits. And we're back to the beginning. So it starts with the crescent moon shape, and then we're kind of switching to Printemps. So where you left off on the bottom right, you're going to put your pen back there, kind of trace over the inner circle, almost to the end, but not touching. And then you're going to aura that inside and then aura that line. So it's like a backwards printer. All right. So once we have that first layer, we can add a second one. So we are going to make another half ladybug shape between these two, kind of float it above your previous ones, though, don't touch. And I'm a little off center. And I go over to the other one. And then we aura the other shapes like that. And then come back in with the sort of Printemps type of motion. Like that. Be careful to leave a little space here. I got a little busy talking and I kind of met up with the other corner. So, and that's okay. But ideally, you would want to leave a little space there. So you just keep working your way around. So half moon shape, and then aura, and then a little bit of Printemps in the center. I think that's the best way I can describe it. So half moon, aura, right in the center. And just keep focusing and working your way around. These are smaller than the original half moon shapes, because whereas when we worked outwards, things got larger. When we work in towards the center, of course, things are going to get smaller. Like that. And then if you like, you could try another really small row of it. This kind of gets a little tight in there. Okay. And one more we're gonna fit in there. So kind of reminds me of a flower on the inside with the woven basket almost on the outside. That's what it kind of reminds me of. And now I'm going to cap my gel pen, and I am going to pick up my pencil for some shading. And I'm just going to start around this area here. And I'm just using a regular number 2 pencil, but you might want to use, if you have a chalk pencil that matches your gel pen color, you might want to use that. So I'm just going around that there. And I'm actually not going to do a lot here. I'm going to let that sit because I'm waiting for the gel pen to be perfectly dry. I'm going over that a second time so it's easier for you to see. All right, and then I'm going to, for the time being, I'm going to switch to shading the Kiko. And I'm just going along either side of the parallel lines here that are coming out from the center. And I didn't do it, and it's optional, but as I'm thinking of it, I'm going to go ahead and do it. Some of these areas you might like to go back in with a black pen, and you might like to ink that in. It's not necessary because you do have some shading, but if you would like to do that, you can. See, here I have that inked in with the gel pen, so I'm going to do that really lightly under it. Um, so it's optional for this project, but you can decide whether you liked it better before I inked it or after I inked it. Okay, so back to shading here. We're just doing either side of these lines, parallel lines. Okay. And then we're going to do our next row, and we're doing the same thing. And if I seem a little distracted, it's because I'm babysitting my new puppy at the same time. And he's going through that stage where he's into everything. And then we come to our last row here. And it's just the same thing, adding a little graphite on either side of the lines coming out from the center. There are different ways to shade Kiko, uh, and this is just one of them. And then we also probably want to add a little shading between our layers here. So I'm actually going to add it outside of our first layer here. So adding a little shading there. I think we made it all the way around. Yeah. And then I'm going to add another layer of shading. And then I think I'll add some graphite along the outside here. All the way around on the outside like that. And remember, you can always add another layer if you feel like it's not dark enough. So you can add layer upon layer. So I always tend to start a little lighter and then add more. And you definitely might want to go darker along this ink line here with this project. So I'm going back and just doing that now. All right, I think we're all the way back around. Okay, so you can set your pencil aside and pick up your tortilla. I'm just going to start on the inside and blend this out a little bit. It's just circular motions. And I start along the ink line and then kind of pull it in towards the center. And I'm not doing much more than that with this one. When I did some practice tiles with this one, I did practice with putting some shading in the center, and it wasn't for me, but feel free to experiment with that. You can also add some shading in between these areas. Um, but I'm just going for the simple look for this demo. Sometimes simple is best. You don't need to overthink it, which is easy to do sometimes. All right, so keeping it simple, we have the shading around the outside and it gets lighter as it goes in. And I think that looks pretty cool. Then I'm going to start with the areas that we shaded along these lines that are coming out from the center. And I'm just working layer by layer. And again, that's a tried and true way of doing it, because if I start doing sections, sometimes I forget an area. So for me, I work in layers and then just keep going out. So I'm going to the next layer and doing the same thing. Keep rotating your tile as you go so that you're more comfortable. We made it all the way around. So we'll go to our last layer. All right. And then we're going to work on the graphite that went the other way. So pick an area to start and just kind of work your way around. And then go to the next layer and do the same thing. Feel free to pause if you need to catch up, or maybe you're already working on the outside. We all have our own pace that we work at. And then we come to the outside and um, again, it's darker towards the ink line, and then you kind of carry it out, blend it out. And for this larger area, instead of circles, I am mostly working in a back and forth type of motion. And I am bringing it all the way out to the corners. All right. How cool is that? So we have this cool woven look here and almost like a flower look on the inside. This would look really cool on a different colored tile like a Renaissance, a tan tile, or even try it on a black tile. It would look really, really cool. But I always try to keep it kind of simple for my demos so that everyone can follow along. All right, we can pick up our pen again and we can add our initials. And that is a question like, where am I going to add my initials? Am I going to work it into the woven area? And I think I will, but you could put it in your initials in a corner if you'd like. I am just going to kind of work mine into here. So I've got an N and an H in there. And then I'm going to turn it over. And I like to put my name on there and the date. It's the 9th already of June. Yikes. And this was our tangle of the week. And I think we're on 23. We're almost halfway through the year, I guess. All right. And the woven one was Kiko, and it's a fun one to learn with going back and forth, and it's awesome, an awesome tangle to fill spaces. And it's really meditative, just going back and forth and filling in those areas. And then we also had in the center, Küle, and that's a U with the 2 dots over it and an LE. All right. So we had 2 tangles this week. And just take a moment to really appreciate your tile. Pick it up, hold it out at arm's length and at different angles. You can turn it around and really enjoy it and appreciate it. This was such a fun one to do, and it's really quite simple, and it turns out really, really nice. Um, so you could try it again in a circle, in a curve, in a square. Um, Try Kiko in different shapes, and you get very, very different looks, but it has that wonderful woven feel to it. And Küle is fascinating to me. I tend to stick with the original Crescent Moon shape and aura off of that, but I've seen people do that with other shapes as well. But for me, I prefer to stick with the basics. So I hope you enjoyed this demo, and I hope you'll like and subscribe and join me on future projects. And this has been super fun today. So I hope you have a great rest of your day. Thank you for joining me. And remember, I love you guys. You're doing awesome. Keep up the great work. See you next time. Bye.